I find grief.
Grief to me.
Describe grief.
Define grief.
Define grief.
Define grief.
Define grief.
Define grief.
Grief is.
Grief is.
Grief is.
Grief is.
Grief is.
Grief is.
Grief is about.
Grief means.
Grief means
The loss of a loved one or a familiar pattern.
Loss, most often of a person.
The loss of someone.
You lose along the way.
And you don't have to have had like a really close, deep-rooted connection to someone or something to grieve for it.
I remember things that used to give me a lot of pleasure during grief. They hold nothing.
Feeling inside you that reminds you how things used to be.
Knowing that you'll never share any more moments with them.
missing somebody every day.
Profound sense of absence.
Realising that you'll never hear this person's voice again.
You take something for granted.
It was all just a memory.
The memories I have of a person after they're gone are intensified.
It's often thought of too literally.
It isn't just associated with death.
You don't have to have lost a person or a thing or a place.
Experience grief differently.
It's different for all people.
Grieve for a week. Some people can grieve for a year.
Grieve for anyone or anything.
When I realised that I wasn't going to be able to have children.
The loss of identity.
Having my loved ones fall into deep depression.
Grieve harder for a friend who lost their loved ones rather than for someone that they lost themselves.
Grieving for the people who have had that loss.
You always carry with you.
Outwardly grieve.
Whether you're going to laugh or cry.
Uncontrollable need to cry.
Despair,
Sadness and despair.
Sadness.
Sadness. Inwardly grieve.
mental anguish,
Over dramatic.
Subconscious.
It doesn't allow your feelings to be properly conveyed.
Pain.
pain,
Intense pain.
It's like a feeling of being stabbed.
Hole inside of you.
Hits you like a ton of bricks.
A numb feeling.
Emptiness.
Something missing.
You don't actually have to acknowledge it.
Hasn't been real.
Disbelief.
Falling in denial.
I don't want to feel it.
Unwanted.
Wish that it was over.
You might have missed some opportunities.
Angry.
Longing.
Desperation.
Inescapable.
Inescapable.
The constant reminder.
Never to see them again.
Gone forever.
Doesn't really go away.
Like an entity, like a force.
To continue with your life is impossible.
Very deep for a long time.
a sense of not knowing when it will end.
Irrevocable.
For once, not being able to do anything about it.
Are completely out of my and anyone else's control.
Helplessness.
Hardest processes that someone can go through.
A ceaseless and inevitable part of life.
It's a real tough one.
It's hard to explain because it's hard to deal with.
Your body's way of dealing with intense and negative emotion.
Affects everyone.
Someone must go through.
The natural way of things. Necessary.
Necessary.
We all have to go through it.
It's something that everybody will experience.
Death ends a life, not a relationship.
Normal coping mechanism. Without grief, without loss, without pain, there is no happiness.
To grieve is the only way out.
Reassuring to see people go through grief.
Never recover without grieving.
You learn from it.
For grief does change our perceptions and make us who we are.
No one has the perfect answer.
One that I came to terms with.
Struggle back to life.
Cure becomes a part of your sense of the way that you experience the world.
Let go of,
Acceptance.
process it, then accept.
In the end, you will find a way to carry on and give your life a new meaning.
Not something that should be scrutinised as a bad thing.
It's something that should be welcomed. It's the most human thing to feel.
Not the gift that you want, but it's the gift that you get.